Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a top level game of Zerg versus Zerg. I think this is actually the biggest rivalry in modern StarCraft 2. Both of these guys have been dominating the StarCraft 2 scene for a while, especially the blue player here in the bottom right hand corner of Death Aura. He's currently the highest ranked player in the world and he has been for quite some time. Until the man in the opposite corner overtook him there for a couple of weeks. We have, of course, none other than Serral. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the red Zerg drones from Italy. As of me making this video, the number 2 on the planet. Of course, that means we have none other than Reynor. Alrighty, so, here we go. Now, I teased this matchup a couple of days ago in a YouTube video as well. I mean, I asked if anyone would be interested, but I knew the answer, right? I mean, I saw a couple of comments like, Lowko, how can you even ask that? Of course we're interested in watching Reynor versus Serral. Serral has been smashing the StarCraft 2 scene for a couple of years now, and I would say like the first player that really started giving him some troubles is Reynor. Reynor a couple of years ago said that it would be like a massive honor, like something along those lines. It would be a massive honor if you could face off against Serral at some point. And he actually has been very, very successful as he's been grinding through the ranks, as he's been rising up as a StarCraft 2 professional. He has been, yeah, I would say the biggest... Maybe not the biggest, like, problem for Serral in general, but he certainly has been the one player who has been able to take off more games in series than anyone else out there. Now, this series was played during DreamHack Winter. As a matter of fact, it is the DreamHack Winter European Upper Bracket Finals. There it is, I nailed it. A bit of a mouthful, but basically what it means is that this tournament match was very, very important for both of them. Because of that, of course, since it was a tournament match, I do already know who ends up winning this whole thing. But I didn't really have a chance to look at the games closely myself. I was actually cooking some dinner while these games were being played, and you know how it is, right? I mean, you guys probably watch a lot of my videos that way, where you're maybe cooking dinner, or you're eating dinner, or eating lunch, or whatever. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, I wasn't really paying very close attention to these games, and I would very much so like to have a bit of a closer look. So far, of course, identical build orders, as you may have already guessed. This is the gold standard in Zerg versus Zerg. There's a lot of early game shenanigans still, a lot of cheese. But you can see how in sync these players are, right? We're 2.5 minutes into it, and you can see right there that Serral was about half a second faster, maybe, than his opponent when it comes to, like, not even half a second, I don't think, but when it comes to entering his first 2 Zerglings right over there into that bubble in the center. Third base has been acquired here for both players, and so far, this has been very similar. Bit of a faster mailing nest here for Serral. I think one of the reasons why Serral was struggling a little bit for a while against Reynor is because Reynor knew very well how Serral played, and Serral didn't really cut any corners. So what I mean with that, for example, the timing right here of this Bailing Nest, it's standard. It's the safe approach. However, if you think about it, right, if you know your opponent likes playing the macro build, right, so Reynor is very familiar, for example, with the way that Serral likes to play, especially about a year or so ago, Serral would just do the same builds every single time. If you knew that your opponent was going to make a Bailing Nest, but it was pretty much always going to be defensively, you didn't really need yours nearly as quickly. So you can see that over here. Reynor has indeed decided to go for an Evo Chamber and a Bailing Nest at a bit of a different time, allowing him a slightly bigger economy there for a little bit. Now, he is following it up with quite a few Zerglings, which means, of course, that Serral is going to have slightly more workers here for the time being. These are mostly what I would like to call, like, testerlings. So they're not really here to deal significant amounts of damage. You can see both of them are droning up as well. But these are the units that, if you make a slip up in the early game, they can end the game very, very easily. Now, it doesn't really happen at this point, but maybe at some point in this series, we're going to be seeing a little bit more Zergling shenanigans. I would say especially in, like, the longer drawn-out macro games. I mean, this is the oldest trick in the book. Come on, Reynor, that doesn't happen. You know, maybe if one opponent wasn't paying attention or one player wasn't paying attention, apparently Serral ends up losing one of the queens there. I mean, that's a slight little bit of damage, but definitely not the end of the world. One Zergling over here as well for Serral, confirming what's going on. If there's one thing that I would say separates Serral from the pack, it's his relentless scouting. You will pretty much always see him scout and keep these units alive as well for a very long time. A lot of people would have just run that Zergling into the queen there, for example. I mean, it might still end up dying here in a very unfortunate way, but you can see there's continuous scouting here all the time. Serral making sure that he knows if his opponent is going for a 4th base. He knows very well how many drones the opponent is supposed to have. He can compare it with his own work accounts here. You can see even 2 Zerglings are queued up right now, just to confirm the timing there. If the gas is at the 3rd base, as well as, you know, counting the amount of drones that the opponent roughly has available. Now you can see still, these players are ridiculously in sync. Everything is, yeah, right around the same time. Now, there is a very slight difference here. Reynor loves going for the Overlord speed upgrade in the other matchups as well. So he's going to be able to get that, that Overlord speed across the map here pretty quickly. And he will be able to find out, I'm assuming here, that the Spire has been planted down by Serral. What's funny is that if you compare these 2 players to your average ladder game, even all the way up to like 6,000 plus MMR, right? The average ladder game in ZVZ takes like 3 minutes, probably. Because there's so many little slip-ups you can make. A lot of early game shenanigans and a lot of early game cheeses and all that. It's pretty cute. Alright, we don't really see it all too often. Now, like at this level that is, like we don't see it all too often between these 2. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing a little bit of cheese as well here. As one of the, or as the series rather progresses. Now this is a bit of a scary moment right now though for Serral. So there is the opportunity here for the player in red to go for a push, right? The Spire takes a very long time to produce. Look at the amount of Zerglings here already available. Serral is now adding on a couple of Banelings of his own, a couple of Roaches of his own as well. These are mostly just here to make sure that he doesn't just die to a bunch of Zerglings. That's one of the problems you can run into quite easily when you open up with Mutas. Now I think there was an opportunity there for Reynor to potentially get some damage in if he would have produced more Roaches here for a little while. He opted to instead go for drones, which I think is fair as well. He's gonna go for the Dropper Lord over here, so he will probably try to drop some Banelings into his opponent's mineral line. Already though, the Hydra then has been acquired, so that signals to me at the very least that Reynor doesn't think he can really go for a whole lot of damage here. Serral is of course gonna see that Dropper Lord right from the get-go, trying to see if whatever damage, or trying to see if he can do a little bit of damage over here, trying to see whatever damage he can get done. There's still Banelings available here. And you can see how in sync these guys are, right? Every single matchup in SC2 right now really is on a razor's edge. So if you play these build orders, they're super close. Now, I actually think this is a bit of a misplay by Serral, to be honest. Like, chasing Zerglings, it's okay, right? Oh, well, that kind of makes it a bit better. But chasing Zerglings, it's alright. But usually you kind of want to deal with this surprise factor. Now, well, speaking of surprises, I was going to say maybe that that Baneling drop can get something done. Zerglings in the meantime run on over towards the 4th base. Banelings instead are going to make their way towards the natural. Is he going to unload? Only unloads one of them before that, that Overlord dies. Now, even though this is not dealing a whole lot of damage here, this is creating a lot of time right now for Reynor, right? So, I would say the strongest unit composition in ZVZ is Hydra Lurker Viper. Hydra Lurker Viper is fantastic, but you need 4 bases for it, right? So look at this. Reynor doesn't have the biggest amount of supply, but he does have a Hive, and he does have that Lurker den coming up. This is scouted as well by Serral, so he knows that his opponent is aiming for that late-game unit composition. Serral will probably try to get something done before this can really get too crazy. Notice as well, he only made 7 Mutalisk. Other than that, it's mostly just Roaches and Ravagers, so this is kind of now forcing Reynor into a very awkward position. He probably assumed that this was going to be more Muta production than it actually was. I mean, he's teched up. It's great and all, right? He's got great units coming up. Lurkers are on that production tab as well, but I've got a feeling, nice Biles there as well, that hatchery is toast. And that's a disaster, because then all of a sudden, right, yeah, you have the tech advantage, but you don't have an even economy anymore. Alrighty. Serral not going into the Lurker tech just yet. Instead, just goes straight into a Hive. Probably looking primarily here to get himself some Vipers out. This isn't necessarily game over for Reynor just yet, but it is a little bit unexpected. Serral, generally speaking, likes to stick around on Mutas for a little while longer. Now, Lurkers do trade incredibly efficiently, as you probably know, against Roaches. That Evo Chamber won't live. It's very difficult to push into, even if you know exactly where your opponent's, you know, Lurkers are located. Mutas, in the meantime, are flipping and flapping towards that main base. Good corrosive balls, but Reynor steps out of them. Yeah, so a bit of a misread right there from Reynor. I mean, it's very hard to know, though. As soon as the mutas are out, I mean, Zerg basically has map control, right? The Zerg player with mutas, that is. So you don't really know exactly how many mutas they're going to commit to, and Reynor just made an assumption and ran away with it. More lurkers are coming up. All the mutas will be cleaned up at this point, though, so that's nice. This actually still puts, like, Reynor in a decently good position, though. I mean, Roach Ravager is just not going to trade well at all against lurkers. Well, I say that. Unless the lurkers aren't in the right place. That's all of a sudden a lot of damage here that's being done. Now look at this damage output as well, though, of the lurkers, yeah. In the meantime, 5th base being acquired here on the left-hand side of the map, and we see Vipers coming up here for Serral. So Serral is opting to go for a lurker den of his own right now, making that transition, but mostly just building on the advantage that he's created at this point. Does this mean Reynor is out of the game? No. Reynor's got better upgrades here, so he already has one of the burrow upgrades here for those lurkers, which is awesome. Means that they burrow very quickly. And the Seismic Spines ability is going to research here very quickly too, or the Seismic Spines upgrade, rather. That's going to allow these lurkers to get 2 more range, which really helps out against a lower tech unit composition here that Serral has for now. Now, there is a timing window. If he waits for too long, though, obviously that timing window is going to close as Serral finishes up his own upgrades as well. Look at the range on those lurkers. I think it comes down right now to the Vipers, though. The Vipers are so critical here for the player in blue. He can indeed abduct those units quite easily, but ooh, would you look at that. All of a sudden, Reynor is closing the distance. Those lurkers are dealing a tremendous amount of damage. Nice dodging right here on the corrosive biles as well. Reynor reinforcing this with as many roaches as he possibly can. And it looks like he's striking back right now, grabbing one of his opponent's bases. He does see a Hydra also wandering in from the left, so he should know that that base over there is taken. Now, here come the abductions. 2 of them, the lurkers that is, end up going down. Is there enough right now, though, for Serral to defend this? He does throw up a blinding cloud as well. Reynor, once again, moves the lurkers a little bit closer, dodging those corrosive biles absolutely brilliantly. And even though those Vipers were fantastic, I don't know if there's gonna be enough. Is there enough right now? This is so ridiculously close, man. Now, obviously, Serral does have the defender's advantage, right? So units do spawn closer. That said, those lurkers, they're continuously dealing damage. He really needs to try and get rid of those as soon as possible. Vipers are now basically dead weight since they're out of energy. He needs to use consumption of those. So the drones decide to bypass this battle. I really feel like you should just engage with those, man. Just fight with them, because the most important thing you have to do right now is hold. Now, Burrow is available at this point for Serral, so he's going to be able to regenerate a little bit of HP right there with those units. Consumption was used on those Vipers as well, so Blinding Cloud will be very helpful, but it is a high energy spell, and I don't think he actually really quite has enough. Is there an Overseer available at this point here for Reynor? I mean, the units are burrowed. I don't think he can see them. He needs to get an Overseer. Okay, there is one. There is one out there somewhere, but he really needs to have it as close to this battle as possible. Blinding Cloud does come down right here on top of some of those units in red. Actually, Serral's now bleeding units through the Blinding Cloud. And with that, Reynor obtains the victory. Beautiful game number 1 there. Both of these guys are so ridiculously good. I'm pretty sure that 99 out of 100 times Serral wins those games against other top-level Zerg players. I talked briefly about what sets Serral apart right now. I said scouting, but honestly, Serral is as close to like perfect Zerg as you can get. However, there's one thing that Reynor is better at by quite a significant margin. Reynor seems to be faster than Serral. And Serral is by no means a slow player, but Reynor is freaking quick. If you ever get to watch him play in real life, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, he's ridiculously fast. I mean, this is the early game, right? So APM isn't really the best indication, but he's really good at focusing the right amount of attention on every single screen. It's just a very, very fast Zerg in general. And the reason why I bring it up is because I'm pretty sure that Serral probably would have had a couple of those corrosive biles connect on lurkers a little bit before the final fight. And if that would have happened, I'm pretty sure, like, even with 1 lurker less, that fight would quite heavily go in favor there of Serral. Doesn't sound like a huge deal, but I really think it adds up quite quickly. Anyhow, wasn't meant to be, so let's see how well this game is going to go right here for the finisher. Hatch gas pool from both. Like, everything is always so identical. Even Overlord Scouts are kind of similar here, although it seems like Serral is just making sure that not even through this little bridge you can sneak out, or these 2 little bridges, I suppose. You can't even sneak any units, you know, across the map that way. There's some cheeky Zergling cheeses. Oh, well. I say that Reynor apparently reroutes his Overlord as well to look for the same thing. There's some Zergling cheeses where you purposely try to send your links through an unoptimized path, just because the odds of your opponent scouting it are rather low. I mean, if you were to send links straight across the map, for example, yeah, you get there faster, but your opponent will get the heads up because of their overlord. Well, apparently, both of these guys would have... Well, actually, yeah, maybe. Maybe there was a little bit of an opportunity right there for Serral, hypothetically speaking, but neither of them really is going to lose to something like that very easily at all. Okay, so I have to pay attention right now to the production tab here to figure out where the change will really happen. Because so far, everything's basically identical once again. Drones are heading on over towards the third base. And of course, the same can be said on the other side of the map as well. Reynor apparently using his Zergling, or using his Zerglings a little bit more safely. Just making sure that he doesn't take any damage on that third base here at all. Serral sees the third base with both the Overlord as well as the Lynx. Just to make double sure that it's going on. And he does decide to plant down that Baneling Nest. Already queuing up the third Queen as well. So this is like the first deviation, right? Third Queen a little bit quicker here compared to the player in red. Whenever you see a third Queen like this a little bit faster, usually indeed it indicates a creep tumor. And this immediately means that he will play a little bit more defensively, right? So this allows you to connect your bases a bit easier and to maneuver your queens around a little bit quicker as well. So say, for example, Reynor decided to go for an all-out assault with Ling Bane. Having that extra queen out to target fire down Banes with is absolutely huge. Now, it also simultaneously means, though, since Reynor sees that right now, right? He knows roughly what's going on. He's seen that there is a creep tumor at the front. This, at the very least, most often will indicate here that Serral does not plan on going for a lot of aggression. He made a couple of Zerglings here, but these are mostly defensive. So this will give Reynor the go-ahead to do whatever he likes. Turns out in this particular game, he's going to go for the +1 Carapace upgrade. Okay. But he's mostly just holding down the drone button. Lair's coming up here as well for Serral. Later Evo Chamber for him because he decided to go for that faster Queen. Would he go melee or missile? Normally it's melee or missile. Okay, it's going to be missile. I'm not sure exactly why Reynor decided to go for the +1 Carapace upgrade. I think it's probably due to the fact that he saw that third Queen. Maybe there's some cheeky Evo Chamber builds that Serral has been going for or something. Like really quick hidden Evo Chambers or something where he didn't see the back of the natural. Where he has been caught off guard by like +1 melee or something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure. Must be a reasoning for it where Reynor decided to go for it. But for now at least, most or both players are mostly just trying to add on as many workers here as they possibly can. Notice as well that there's still no Lair here for Reynor, right? So maybe actually he wants to go for a big assault. Yeah, he's adding on Overlords right now. How many gases does he have? He's got 3 gases, 52 drones. I think he wants to hit a timing here or something with tons of roaches as soon as the +1 melee finishes up. I think he probably reads into this as like a Muta-based build. I don't know, we'll see. Roach Warren's done right now. Yeah, there we go. He's just making non-stop units here for a little while already. He probably reads this as like a Muta-based opener from Serral. And generally speaking, Muta openers die to Roach Ling timing attacks. So there's a Nidus Worm coming up for Serral. Okay, it's not a Muta opener at all. I actually don't know how this dynamic really works out right now. There's one... Okay. There's one cheeky little Baneling trailing the rest of these Zerglings here. Another Baneling will be morphed in. But there's a lot of roaches here coming up as well. I think he probably... Well, he saw the building, but he probably didn't click on that in time. Doesn't really matter because he knows what it is. Maybe he did click on it. I was saying, right? He's fast. He may have clicked on it. Baneling! Oh, +1 melee though finished up. Well, still got a lot of value there, Serral, that is, but... Roach is in the main base waiting for a Nidus Worm that will probably never be planted down. Oh, no. It will not be planted down inside of the main base just yet, anyway. It's going to be planted here over at the third base. Reynor did a vision of that with his Overlord, so he's going to be able to pick that one up easy peasy. Neither player really getting that full 3-base saturation, though, so neither of them really has the option right now to commit towards a 4th base either. Now there's a Spire coming up for Serral as a follow-up, which is actually kind of cool. Makes sense. Got a lot of roaches. It's a bit of an oddly timed Spire, but it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, right? So, there is an opportunity for Reynor to go for an attack if he wants to, but since his Lair was super late, He's only gonna be able to go Roach Speed right now and then still go Spire. Basically, right, if there's anything you take away from this series, ZVZ right now is you can put up a freaking Spire at any point in the game whenever you feel like it, okay? You feel like, just make Spire. You want an early Spire, late Spire, doesn't matter. Spire at any point is acceptable. This is awkward though, because Spire off of 3 bases, I mean, you don't get a lot of gas income, right? Now you also play Muta Chicken here in a little bit, where the first player to make something that's not a Muta is gonna fall behind. So he wanted to go for a 4th base, it looks like, but I'm not sure, man. Oh, he's gonna go for the base in the center. I actually really like that. Yeah, the center one has this high yield gas. This is awkward though, because they both have so many roaches. Yeah, 38 roaches for Serral versus 30 here of Reynor. There's the 7 mutas here coming up by, for Serral. I mean, Reynor could go Corruptors if he feels fancy, but I think this has to be mutas by him as well. Already going Overlord speed though, right? And like roach upgrades. I don't think he wants to stick around on mutas for too long. Now, muta versus muta battles are real strange. Muta versus muta battles come down to the player with more mutas. This base actually is really good in the center, now that I think of it. By the way, a couple of Zerglings. Ooh, nicely done. Yeah, they kill Brenda. But other than that, not a whole lot else. Anyway, oh, he's hiding. He's hiding the mutas. Yeah, muta versus muta battles is strange because the player with, like, more mutas pretty much always wins, right? And look at this. Reynor is actually transitioning from the mutas into roaches again. So he was planning on making one big round of mutas. Now, I think that they probably were spotted right now, though. Serral probably has been spotted. Otherwise, the Spire has been spotted right now as well. You do see the little wiggle there on the Spire, which indicates that something is researching. So that means that Serral plans on making a lot more mutas, which right now forces Reynor to make a lot more mutas as well. Now, Reynor has been happily making a lot of roaches during all of this. So now he's got more roaches than player in blue. With 4th bases being acquired, the gases are super important. So 30 versus 35 mutas does not mean that the player with 35 mutas is going to win with 5 mutas alive. They will win with like 15 or 20 mutas alive. The difference is staggering. So more mutas, better, right? Mutas also have little bouncy attacks. So every single attack bounces a couple of times. Meaning that if you fight above one of your opponent's structures, a lot of those bounces, or roaches for example, a lot of those bounces are going to go on top of the units. Look at this now. Ooh, actually, Serral. I thought he wasn't go for a big push right here on that high ground. Apparently, Reynor is going to try and take the base in the center. We'll cancel that one in time because, like I said, he's fast. Mutas are going to have to return home. But yeah, some of the bounces can go on the units or the structures below it as well, which means that right now, these mutas could certainly take a little bit of damage. Now look at this. Oh, Serral's trying to intercept at this point. He's got 23 mutas versus 20. Looks like the base in the center, by the way, will live here for Reynor. There's like 4D chess being played here. Can he kill that base? Ooh. I think Serral might be able to kill that base. Yep. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. This now creates a bit of a desperate opportunity, though, for Reynor as he's moving forward. Zerglings are coming up right now as well for the reinforcement. Serral parking a bunch of his units on top of, yeah, some of the blue units here as well, just to try and get more value out of this. So hopefully more of his own mutas will live. And so far, it looks like that plan is working. As you can see, the muta numbers in red are dwindling. Yeah, there's, I mean, still some roaches left over, I suppose, but that's fine, right? If you have like 20-something mutas, you can clean up leftover stragglers very, very easily. Okay, so now that means that this base is dead. And it means that the base in the bottom now, which immediately gets scouted, is the last lifeline here for Reynor. I mean, you can't get much done without it. Now, I love this. Couple of cheeky Zerglings, right? This is what Reynor, or this is what made Reynor famous, rather. Very good at these Zergling run-bys. Queens apparently pulled away as well from their hatcheries, though, just to try and defend that newly acquired expansion. The Queens will be able to clean most of this up. One of the drones is not inside of that gas right now. Zerglings trying to get something done. Yeah, but at this point, I mean, look at how fast these mutas are. There's no way, right? 35 versus 22 mutas. Serral's mining more gas while this is going on as well. He's acquired this this 5th base for himself as well. I mean, this should be, emphasis on should, this should be Serral's game right now. Now the Zerglings though, yeah, the Zerglings are really neat. Upgrades help out a lot in this sort of situation as well, and obviously Reynor had that +1 carapace there from earlier, but GG is called, and with that Serral obtains a victory in game number 2. Alrighty, so map number 3 will take us to Jagannatha, or Jagannatha. No, it's Jagannatha, because it's Juggernaut, right? So Jagannatha, I think it's something along those lines. I don't want to spend every single video complaining about this map name, okay? But seriously though, can we just go back to like regular map names next season? Thank you. Thank you. That'd be pretty great, because if you look up the meaning of the word Jagannatha, you'll find out that it has very little to do with video games. I guess most maps have nothing to do with video games, like most map names, that is. I like what Maris does, or Maris. How do you pronounce her name? Like the map maker. Anyways, that's a whole other debate. But she names her maps after metal songs, which I always kind of like. So there's like Death Aura and like Romanticide. I believe Romanticide is a song by Nightwish, which, you know, I appreciate that. I think that's pretty cool. Anyhow, looks like we have a bit of a faster spawning pool here this time around by Reynor. See if he's going to be able to get anything done with that one. This is one of those builds that's kind of unpopular these days. The difference is not that huge, right? So you can go hatch gas pool, or pool hatch gas, or pool gas hatch, or gas pool, I don't know. I've said most of the varieties. You can plant down these first couple of structures in any way, shape, or form that you like, at any point, really. As long as it's done before like the 17 or 18 supply mark. It doesn't really matter too much. It just seems that hatch gas pool is the best way to go about it. The biggest difference, though, that it's going to make is like 1 larva, right? So the difference is not that big. Maybe this is Reynor thinking, okay, the odds of my opponent cheesing on this map are rather big. So Jagannatha does have these really big circles that speed up your units quite a bit. So if you want to go for some cheese, this is the map to do it on. But, I mean, obviously, like, say, for example, Serral would have gone for a 12 pool, right? Going for a pool first build, or a very early pool build anyway here, would have just automatically countered that. Turns out Serral, though, stoic as he is, hatch gas pool every single game. Every single game, just hatch gas pool. I casted a really fun series that he played recently as well, where he decided to go for some cheeky hatcheries on the other side of the map too. In case you're interested in watching that, I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video. Highly recommend you go ahead and check out that series after this one. It's a ZVT, where apparently Serral decided, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna cheese. This is what I do now. This is more the Serral that we know, right? Hatch gas pool. I mean, he went crazy in the previous game, making a faster 3rd queen. Maybe he's going to do the same thing again. Nah, I don't think so. Nah, I just saw the timing there of those Zerglings moving out, so he just wants to make sure that he could snipe any Zerglings that decide to get cheeky and potentially harass his drones in a natural. Okay, there's a quick Evo chamber. This is a crazy quick Evo chamber, man. That's like 15 seconds earlier than normal. Lair's coming up already. Now, will this be scouted here by Serral? Oh, the queen, the queen, the queen. Oh, he sees it. Man, that's so sick. Yeah, so he sees that a lair was already being acquired. 3rd base is basically toast, though. Haha, pun intended. Actually, not intended, but I'll take it. Oh, no, he didn't mean to cancel this. Oh, no. He definitely did not mean to cancel that 2nd one. I don't see why he would cancel 2. I think he just wanted to make sure that he... Oh, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks. Pretty sure he just meant to cancel one of those Evos. He probably accidentally double-clicked or control-clicked or whatever. Maybe he, like, drew a little box and hit cancel. I don't know. Things happen. Highly doubt that he meant to cancel both. This is not going from bad to worse right now here for Serral. I mean, there's already a Spire coming up, right? This is a 2-base opening here from Reynor. And while Serral's scouting everything, like he sees the Spire there, it's not really, yeah, it's not really going to give him that much info. I mean, it's gonna give him the info that the Muta switch is imminent. But it's, yeah, it's not a great situation to be in. So he goes +1 Carapace right now. A couple of Zerglings apparently got blown up right there by a Baneling. Or I guess they burned up in acid or something. I don't know. Overlord right now overextending here as well. Maybe he can try and squeeze out a victory by going for some really aggressive Ling Bane stuff, but this is rough. Now, is it the end of the world? Not necessarily. You can see supply-wise, things are still looking pretty good, but a lot of that supply is caught up in units that don't really do a whole lot. We're now seeing a significant amount more drones right now for Reynor. Yeah, Reynor's definitely not... Oh, no! Yeah, Reynor is definitely not going to take critical damage from this sort of thing. It's just not going to happen. So, Serral's actually going +1/+1 for melee units. So... I mean, I remember playing a lot of Ling Bane against Muta openers back in the day. Back in the day, I found out that Zerglings with upgrades counter Mutas in small numbers. But I'm not sure, man. Like, I haven't seen this in a while. I'm not sure how this is going to play out at this point. Okay. So, love this scout as well here by Reynor. He saw the 2 Evos wiggling, so he should know at least what's going on. So what you do at this point here for Reynor, and I love this, is indeed go flyer upgrades and just squeeze out as many Mutalisks as you can. The more Mutas, the better. Maybe Serral could do some cheeky Nidus play or something along those lines. But I'm not sure. Nah, I think you just build up your eco right now and make Mutas here if you're Reynor. Just make sure your opponent doesn't grab a free 4th base. So maybe scout for the top left, but... Okay. Do you make a transition here as Reynor towards anything else? Or do you just go straight into +2 flyer upgrades as well? I'm not sure. So Reynor is going to be able to spot the timing of the lair here. So he sees it's not even done yet. Good defense over here again too. +2 melee, by the way, being acquired here right away by Serral. I don't know what you do at this point, man. Like, Mutas are good against... Or, sorry, Queens are good against Mutas. It's just that once the Muta numbers grow, since Mutas stack up all together, right? Like, they can all clump up in one big spot. At some point, the Queens will just get wrecked. Now, ooh, I think what Serral's trying to do right now is go Infestation Pit and then either into Hive or Infestors. Fungal Growth and Parasitic Bomb are both fantastic, right? So you either go into Hive into Vipers or you go into Infestors here for Fungal, I guess. Hydra Dendo, Evo Chamber, 2nd Evo Chamber that is. Maybe into Lurkers here? I mean, Mutas into Lurkers is really good as well, but I feel like that gives Serral a lot of wiggle room. Serral still has not acquired a 4th, though. So I guess it's fine. Yeah, whatever Reynor does, I don't think it matters too much. He's always going to be in a pretty good spot. That's a lot of Queens, man. Queens are good. Yeah, I feel indeed that's the best choice here. Going for a Nidus network here makes sense if you can get it up in a good position. Now notice here the spread on these Overlords. Reynor is fully aware of the chances that that may be happening. He even saw that little changeling there. So even though the Nidus network is not spotted anywhere yet. Now that's an awkward amount. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my... What? It looked like for a second he was going to try and blow up the Queens there. Okay, a little ambitious there. Yeah, Serral seems a little out of it in this game. I mean, he's trying to salvage the situation, but falling behind early on by canceling that. Ooh, it's very painful now at the same time. Those Banelings, I saw them moving on the minimap. Rolled on over to watch the 3rd base. Now this is Reynor saying, get out of my game. Accidental Swarm Host now also is being built here by Serral. Now apparently there was a Nidus Worm, but it's just, yeah, it's not getting a whole lot done just yet. Reynor's sitting at 80 workers, which may be a little bit over-ambitious. He saw where those Zerglings were coming from. Picks up another Nidus network. I mean, Serral could try again with another Nidus Worm here on the right-hand side, but already you can see Reynor scouting, man. This is Reynor being entirely on point, playing pretty much a flawless game. And with that, he does indeed. And with that, he indeed obtains the victory. Alrighty, so here we go. Next game will be on Submarine, and no 12 pools, sadly. This is by far the smallest map in the map pool, so the rush distance from natural to natural, I mean, they're very, very short. You can get across very quickly. Neither of them opting for anything super cheesy just yet. Wouldn't be surprised to see some pool first builds here. Just because it's... I mean, it's almost too obvious, right? Like, there could be some 4D chess being played where you assume that your opponent, you know, knows that the rush distance is so short and therefore they know that you're not going to be cheesing and therefore they're going to go hatchery first because you're not going to be cheesing anyway because it's too obvious, because it's too good. Right? That could happen. Or you just indeed go 16 hatch. Or 16 pool, rather. It's a little bit safer. 17 pool in the meantime here for Serral, so this is just, yeah, this is just straightforward. Like, this is them making the assumption the opponent might be going for some sort of cheese. I remember a game that these two played on this exact same map not that long ago. Don't remember what tournament it was. I think it was probably DreamHack Full in the finals. Anyways, Serral threw that game pretty hard. Like, I remember it, where he brought the queens and stuff across the map, and it was just, it looked like one of the most frustrating games to play StarCraft 2 on ever, or like one of the worst games to play ever. They also had the player cams on, and normally Serral doesn't respond very emotionally, but he was not enjoying that, and Reynor was super happy. But yeah, it's playing in the back of my mind, so I'm assuming it's gonna play in the back of Serral's mind as well. So just because he doesn't want to get, you know, even more traumatized playing this one, spawning pool first, seems like the correct choice to go for, especially when you're one map behind. Obviously, a best-of-5 series means that the first player to win 3 maps is the one that obtains the victory. The odds of Reynor going for a cheeky one, right? Just to try and close things out. Not out of the ordinary. Serral sees the Zerglings leave, sees the timing of those as well, so he should know that this is not the craziest timing right here for Reynor. Okay. I'm not a big fan of playing pool first builds myself. Mostly just because it always throws off my queen injects and whatnot a little bit. Like, if you go 2 queens at the same time, right? Like, they're gonna have identical amounts of energy in the early game. Assuming you do your injects perfectly as well, right? Like, it just makes it a little bit easier. Right now, those queen injects are gonna be slightly out of sync, as you can see. Either that or you're a little bit late on one of them, but that just kind of feels bad too, so... StarCraft 2 is hard enough as it is, man. Going for multiple early game builds, it's, I mean, it's a good idea, obviously, when you play at this level, but probably not a complete necessity if you are a bit of more of a ladder hero. So actually going for a pool first build is a good idea if you get cheesed a lot. Like, it depends on what league you play in. So for the people, for example, that I coach in SC2, so for those of you unfamiliar, I do StarCraft 2 coaching. This is what I mean, man. Reynor, come on now. Hello. There it is. 15 seconds late. Anyways, the people that I coach in SC2, whenever they ask about this matchup and they mention that they get cheesed like 80% of the games, which I know is the case in like Gold and Platinum League especially, there's just so much cheesing in this matchup. Going pool first, I mean, it's going to save you against like 50% of those cheeses, right? So if 80%, like, it's going to save you like 40% of the games if there's a lot of 12 pooling going on. Can't really lose against the 12 pool if you decide to go pool first, so just a little bit of a tip. If you're struggling a lot in this matchup and you do see yourself getting cheesed a lot, maybe have a look at the builds that both of these guys are going for here in this particular map, or on this particular map, rather. Serral decided to sneak a couple of Banelings here on the left-hand side of the map. Reynor was already producing his own Zerglings as well, though, so... Ooh, that's a good trade. 1 link for a Bane. Not a bad trade at all. Trying to get the second one, too. Will successfully be able to detonate that one, too, and... just like that, Reynor is going to be in a pretty nice position. He was a little bit late on that queen inject, though. Once again, misses this queen inject right now as well, since the queens are now scrambling on over to the third base. In the previous game, Serral seemed a little bit, you know, off. Well, he's going to lose a queen here. In this one, I guess Reynor slightly less clean, although I haven't really been paying very close attention to what Serral is doing here at all. Good defense, though, by both, right? It's so easy to accidentally lose a base. They make it look straightforward, but... I guess that's a real sign of greatness, right? When you make something really difficult look really easy. Link Bane Micro is one of those things. Oh, oh, look at that. You seen that? Like, that looks easy, right? You're like, okay, hold my beer, I can do this. The problem is, while you're doing it, you probably get up to 800 minerals. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most common thing I see a lot whenever I analyze lower league games. It's like, yeah, you're microing your Lings and Banes pretty well. Probably not as good as these guys. But you're floating tons of resources and you're not hitting your queen injects in the meantime, right? Doing all of it is really hard. Sometimes it feels like they have multiple screens to look at or something. Because how can you look at both your queens as well as your army at the same time? You can't. Sometimes feels that way, though. Just a little peek right there to see how many drones there's over at the third. So I realizes, wait a second, I'm a little bit behind the network account, so I'm gonna squeeze out a couple of those myself. No lair being acquired just yet here for Reynor. We'll probably see one coming up though in just a little bit. Bane hunting here from the side. Feel like we've seen this engagement just a couple minutes ago. Reynor still doesn't have a lair, by the way. He did decide to go for the +1 missile upgrade, but that one's a little late too. A couple of Banelings apparently actually tried to hunt on over towards the third mineral line. But good defense right here by the Italian. The Italian stallion, as they say. Little Caesar. Lair's gonna finish up though in a little bit. Oh, actually, well, as I said, a couple drones apparently did go down to those Banelings that we saw conservatively used there for a little while. Is Serral just gonna go into the... Yeah, I think he's just gonna go +2 and then indeed the speed upgrade. Reynor does have a very significant army lead though. He's 20 supply ahead right now in the army. Spine crawlers are coming up as well here for Serral, so he realizes that he's in a bit of a pickle. Let's see how this is gonna go. What StarCraft unit in StarCraft 1 shouts that again? I'm in a pickle! I think it's a StarCraft 1 unit anyway. I'm not sure. Someone will probably let me know in the comment section. Banelings actually get some decent connections there. Usually Banes versus Roach is not ideal, but also some good service area. You can see the same thing happening right now here for Serral as he's trying to hunt for either Zerglings or Ravagers. Spinecrawler finishes up. There's only one Corrosive Bile here, or one Corrosive Bile rather available, which is pretty decent. Right, that Pokey Boy is gonna get some pokes in. Reynor needs to deal quite a bit of damage in order to justify his attack because his lair is late. And he's currently behind economically, so... I mean, these roaches are running low on health, but they're still alive. Yeah, I think with reinforcements now coming up though, Serral should be able to defend this. Especially with +2 and roach speed here finishing up very soon. Yep. So this is now a tremendous advantage here for Serral. Because he's basically a full upgrade now ahead of his opponent. And, I mean, Reynor did do a good job, though, following this up right now with workers as well. So, he's actually fine as far as the worker count goes, which is quite impressive. Ooh, I love this. Couple of Banelings. In the meantime, though, those leftover roaches from Serral. I mean, I don't have +2 just yet. Oh, good catch there by Serral, man. Could have been a disaster. Oh, okay. Screw that drone in particular. He attack moved on the Zergling, but misclicked. Did he misclick? Wait, Serral is human? He misclicked? Stop the press. We need to print this. No, okay. Okay. Maybe he just really hated that drone. Actually, that's a more likely scenario. He probably just really hated that drone. Just had the perfect opportunity. Hello. Oh, that's so good though. It's so easy to lose all of this. Doesn't look impressive, right? Doesn't look impressive at all, but it's very easy to lose all of it. Now, Serral's apparently going to push this advantage now, which is kind of curious. Not with a 4th base or like a Spire or anything like that. I mean, Spire on this map doesn't make a lot of sense because it's so small. But he's going to go for the Roach Burrow movement and then also the Burrow upgrade. So, not sure if I'm a huge fan of that, to be honest. I mean, I would just be worried right now, like, say if I was Serral here, right? What if Reynor throws up the Spire? I guess you can scout for that, but... Maybe you just push with roaches actually against that. Yeah, you might just actually push with roaches. A couple of Zerglings now trying to see if they can potentially deal some damage over in the main base. Good concave being set up though here by the finisher. Needs to be careful. Ooh, couple corrosive biles. Nicely done. I mean, he set up a good concave earlier. This is not as impressive. There we go. So this is the way you do that, by the way. You like split off your units into multiple groups, and then if they move forward, then you attack move behind them, and it goes quite well. Still though, these Zerglings here deal a little bit of damage. Reynor actually now grabs the economy advantage. 4th base for him is done as well, whereas Serral hasn't even started up his own. One advantage as well of the Roach Burrow movement research is that you get quite a bit of healing quite fast. You can see these roaches now basically all jacked up and ready to go. Let's see. Serral has been making tons of army here for a little while already. Reynor doing the same thing though. Both players hitting a supply block now. After taking out his anger on a couple of drones earlier, apparently now it's the Rox's turns to take some damage. Serral's moving around very confidently, but I'm not feeling nearly as confident. He doesn't have to... Wait, did he cancel it? Oh, I think he may have canceled it. So he just got Burrow, and then he canceled the water upgrade, I think. 'Cause it doesn't take that long. Yeah, he must have canceled. Probably trying to squeeze out a couple more roaches there instead of that upgrade. Okay, so here we go. Roach Ravager battles as we're maxed out. We're back in 2019 right now. This is something that players have gotten very good at. Some nice hit squats right here by Serral. Gets a couple of drones over at the 4th base. Now Burrow is done as well, so he's going to be able to continue healing here as well quite easily. Roaches right now decide to burrow on over towards the natural, and this is basically Serral trying to win just by putting on pressure. He's extremely good at this multitasking. Needs to be careful though, right? The concave beats the convex, as we all know. Looks like those roaches over there will be pushed back, but look at this. A little bit of miscontrol right there by Reynor. He was move commanding just for a little bit because he's trying to put out fires in like 2 different locations other than the main fight as well. Serral grabs a couple of worker kills here. Ooh, if he gets the Evo chamber? Or sorry, the Roach Warren? That's awkward. Yeah. I think that might actually just be a little much, right? Like if you force the engagement within the next minute or two, you're gonna be fine. Now, ooh, Reynor does set up, well, not even a concave anymore. That's pretty much a circle, which I guess is an even superior, geometrical shape. Yeah, that was actually not bad at all. The problem is, though, that there's only so much, right? I think Serral may have lost a couple drones during some of that as well, or maybe he never actually had that many. I wasn't paying attention to that, but even though the Roach Warren's gonna finish up here again, Serral is now 60 supply, 70 supply up. Okay, ugh. I was ready to see that supply of Reynor skyrocket again as the Roach Warren finishes, but it's not happening, huh? Yeah, so that fight went in favor there, I think, of Reynor. But he has not been able to produce here for a little bit, which really hurts him. Actually, I don't know if that fight went in favor of Reynor. I'm saying that. It looked really good for him, but it probably wasn't that amazing. There's now roaches still forced to, like, you know, move all over the place. This is Serral trying to see if he can potentially squeeze out the victory right at this point. Reynor running dangerously low here on that drone count as well. Now below 40, which is not a whole lot. 3rd base is barely any mining. 4th base now in a little bit of trouble as well. Okay. I'm surprised that Serral disengages this often. Like, well, I mean, it's Serral, so it's the right thing to do, right? But it feels like it's like a bad move to let go off the gas. You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, you kill your opponent's 4th base, but you only just now secured your own. It's not like you're in a game-ending advantage if you were watching this from his perspective, right? Yet he's 50 supply up. So I think he probably is playing more conservatively than he should just because he's got limited info, right? Like, we got everything. I mean, right now he's realizing it, though, I think. Yeah, he's like, wait a second, hold up. That's everything you have? I mean, I'll stop the burrow harassment here for a little bit. Actually, no. Not even that. There are still some roaches over in the natural. But there it is. That means we're going to game 5. Alrighty, so Here we go. Welcome to Lightshade. Let us see what the final game in this best of 5 looks like. This has been a very macro-focused series so far. No shenanigans. Right? Very little shenanigans anyway. This is just 2 players playing as close to perfection as we have in StarCraft 2 in this matchup right now. And they're just trying to win by playing better. I know, crazy concept. I just know there's a couple people watching this that play the ladder as well, and they just cheese every single game, you know? And they're like, what? Why are you talking to me, Lowko? Why? Don't worry, guys. You know what I'm talking about. Once again, pool first here. So Serral, I look at the production tab usually in the early game or so. I show a hatch first, and I say, once again, pool first here. Serral has decided to go for a pool first again, so I think... I don't really know exactly what the stats of it are, but I can imagine it's happened many times before where Serral is 1 map behind Reynor. And that may very well be the opportunity where Reynor is like, okay, that's it, let's go. I'll go ahead and, you know, go for like a 13 gas into a 12 spawning pool or something along those lines. Let us see, though, where this game is going to go. Nothing out of the ordinary. First OV, going to the natural for both players. Second OV for both players. Well, this one's actually going to head on over here for a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised, though, to see it flying on over to the third base here shortly. But, yeah, they're going to be able to spot the alternative attack paths here relatively easily. Just a second. It's funny how I've listened to most of the songs in StarCraft 2 for like the last decade. I still like them. 9 times out of 10 these days, I actually still play with the in-game music on. Also because of the whole DMCA thing on Twitch, right? Like you probably have heard of that by now. There's been some copyright drama. Anyhow, yeah, it's good music. Okay, so as this game gets underway, let's have a look at some of the smaller details. Drone will likely head on over to the third base here very shortly. Brenda got in 1 spine right there on one of these Zerglings before injecting the base. No third base actually from either just yet. Creep Tumor once again here at the front for Serral. He seems to be fond of this. There's the third base for Reynor though. Did he already have that when I said no third base for either player just yet? He may have actually just taken it as I said it, probably. Interestingly enough, they're going for the low ground base. Seems that most people that I play, and that personally, like, I like playing the vertical one instead, but now that I see it, I mean, don't question it, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. I know a lot of players out there are trying to reinvent the wheel all the time, but in these kind of scenarios, whenever you watch a game like this, if both the number 1 and the number 2 Zergs in the world are, it doesn't really matter which of them is, you know, the highest rank currently. If they're both taking the low ground base, it's probably the one you're supposed to be taking. Is there going to be enough right now for this base to be killed? Nah, probably not. Nah. There's an Evo Chamber coming up. Roach War now coming up as well. Once again, nice conventional game. I like watching these. I know some people are like, show me the cheese! I want to see cheese, Lowko. I love, like, the camembert and the brie and, like, all the sorts of cheese that are out there. Don't at me, though, with your freaking Gouda. Gouda? Really? That pronunciation is nothing, okay? I've complained about this before in a YouTube video, but since some of you don't watch every single upload that I post, I know, crazy. Let me tell you how you're pronounced, you know, you're supposed to pronounce Gouda, okay? It's a Dutch city. It's pronounced Gouda. Gouda. There you go. There you go. Okay, Gouda. Not as Gouda. Gouda? What is this? It's not a Gouda, like, pronunciation at all. I'm just kidding. I don't feel that strongly about it at all. Pretty sure some people are like, oh my god, Lowko, you sound so offended right now. Nah, I don't really feel that strongly about these sort of things, man. If you feel that strongly about old things, it's, well, first off, you guys probably never watch my videos, because my pronunciation of things is pretty horrible at times, even though I try. Secondly, life would be much less enjoyable, I suppose, if you're that concerned about every single little detail. I guess at that point, you live life perpetually outraged. Anyhow, I mean, this has been a near identical game once more, right? There's like a little bit of poking and prodding here, but neither player really committing to a whole lot. Lairs are relatively evenly timed. Upgrades are relatively evenly timed. Roach Warrens are required. The only big difference for now is that Serral has decided to go Overlord speed. I like Overlord speed a lot. Patrolling your OVs back and forth against roaches is neat. There's the 4th base being acquired. Oh! Oh! Oh, shit, look at that! Oh, he's gonna get it! Is he? Yeah, he's got... Oh, that was beautiful. There's 300 minerals and a drone down the drain right there for Reynor. A perfect micro spread on those Zerglings. Now, you can also just do it like this. At least that one was cancelled, though. Yeah, I remember seeing a little highlight clip of that little move on Reddit. I forgot about that, though. Apparently, that's in this game, huh? That was really cool. There's the Spire coming up for Reynor. Seems like you go Overlord speed if you want to go Roaches. It seems like you go Spire if you don't want to go Overlord speed. Or, well, you get what I'm trying to say. It's been a long cast, okay? 4th base, once again in a little bit of trouble. Now, as I pointed out earlier, whenever you play Roaches into Hydras, into Lurkers, into Vipers, you need 4 bases really badly. So Serral not being able to acquire this base doesn't seem like a huge deal because he got a council on his opponent's one as well. But it adds up very quickly because in just about a minute here, Reynor is going to be the one with full map control. Why I say that, maybe it's Serral who's going to go in for a big push here first and foremost. Yeah, Reynor's now forced to spend as much of his gas as possible on just a bunch of units. Oh. I actually feel like Reynor could have, or sorry, Serral could have continued pushing there. Yeah, he doesn't want to, though. Decides to once again go for the burrow upgrade and then also that tunneling claws upgrade for the roaches. Historically speaking, it always has seemed to me, or it always seemed to me that Serral isn't the biggest fan of playing roaches versus mutas. He finds himself in this scenario quite a bit, though. But I don't know. It seems like his win rate against this kind of thing is not as good as you'd expect at this level. Let me put it like this. I'm pretty sure Reynor is comfortable playing these mutas versus someone who's playing roaches. Now, there is one scary moment, though, when you're playing mutas, and it's this right here. This is the moment where Serral is going to go, well, he could if he wanted to, for a big push. There's already quite a few mutas out, though. Yeah, this is already 11 mutas. Like, sometimes you can hit and overwhelm your opponent, but look at this. Reynor has already made a lot of roaches here, too, just to make sure that he doesn't die to, like, a big roach influx from his opponent. Now, the 4th base has been acquired. He could actually kill that quite easily, I think, just with the mutas alone. Is he going to do that? I like it. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, honestly. So, once again, the reason for that is the gas. Hydro Lurker Viper, fantastic. Problem is, it's too expensive to afford off of 3 bases efficiently. Like, you can kind of do it, but you're going to be lacking, right? And you can't remax, that's for sure. So the hive starts up here, so apparently Vipers are going to have the priority. Serral already adding in a few infestors as well, which I do like. One fungal growth obviously can help out. Back in the day, fungal growth was much better, because you could actually utilize it more efficiently. There's a couple of burrowed roaches moving around the map, apparently. But yeah, back in the day, I mean, tunneling claws, or sorry, fungal growth was a full-on route, right? These days, it's a slow. 4th base. I mean, how many times is that? Like 5 or 6 times now? That 4th base is not going up at this base. I really feel like maybe this one, but what do I know? Don't reinvent the wheel, Lowko. A couple of roaches make their way on over to this base, but yeah. So Hive is going to finish in a little bit, but I'm not sure what you're even going to get out of it. I guess Vipers. Like, Vipers makes the most sense, but he already has a few infestors as well. As Reynor is now maxed out too, he decides to go into his own infestation pit. Probably wants to go Hive here very shortly. Brilliant defense here, though, by Reynor, man. Sometimes when you're the Roach player, it's really easy to accidentally get some damage done with your tunneling claws and all that. It's very easy to be overwhelmed. Once again, how many times is he gonna get it? Oh, once again! Not a kill. Not a kill. Man, I'm still a little... I still keep thinking back on the perfect micro on that hatch. That was neat. That was really cool. There's the Hydra Den coming up as well for Serral. He knows he needs to get lurkers here eventually. Reynor is the one, though, who's now going into a hive. Already has the Hydra Den. Probably will go lurker den here very shortly. I mean, fungal growth is still really good against roaches as well, right? Like, it hits both ground as well as air, so it's not like it's gonna be terrible. Seems like Serral is constantly forced to move back, though. Ooh, Reynor. He's feeling greedy. Oh, now he's feeling lucky. There you go. These infestors are not cheap. Okay, they do burrow there, which is nice. At the same time, a couple of roaches apparently make their way towards this base on the right-hand side above the natural. Okay, 7 drones at the cost of like 7 roaches. Yeah. What can I say? Maybe Serral's finally going to be able to secure a 4th base. This is becoming desperate, though, because you can see the main and the natural are running low. Queens are still desperately running around, and these mutas have been extremely helpful. Now, Reynor is the one with tunneling claws. Didn't start up a lurker den yet. Unless I'm blind. No. This is apparently the Reynor moment to shine. Needs to be careful, though. Roach Hydra lurker. Or, sorry, Roach Hydra infester. Pretty good. Roaches once again burrow towards the natural. They're going to be able to get some damage done. A couple of roaches over here as well. Big fight could potentially be going down over here as well. There's the fungal growth. It makes it pretty much impossible to retreat. Nice dodging right here on the bows from both sides, though. Roaches in the natural are going to be cleaned up here. A couple of roaches apparently over here will burrow once more. Reynor's going to be pushed back, but you can see the supply count is still looking really neat. He's now reinforcing this with 30 additional roaches. Interestingly enough, no hive tech upgrades or anything like that other than the +3 missile. Lurker Den's going to finish up here for Serral in just a little bit. Mutas now swoop in as well and just end up killing that spore crawler. Queens will probably be enough to eventually push this back. These mutas, man. How many mutas have we even seen die? Yeah, just 6. They have been poking and prodding for a while, but he only made a group of them at some point, and that's it. There's a lurker coming up. Ranged upgrade, seismic spines being researched. Massive fungal growth, though. Ooh! Fungal growth followed up by corrosive biles is still one of the best combos in the game. Just difficult to actually execute. Right now, though, with, so many Hydras as part of the unit composition, I mean, they do a lot of damage, but they don't tank a lot of it. It looked like it was actually a really good fight there for Reynor, but now all of a sudden it's Serral that's pushing this back. Reynor reinforcing this with as many roaches as possible. Throws up a couple corrosive biles on the retreat as well at the same time. A couple of those roaches heading on over towards the base up top. We'll probably see if they can potentially get some damage done over at the 3rd base of Serral as well. Reynor in the meantime secured the 6 o'clock position on the map. He's now adding on his own Vipers. Lurker Den's coming up. So we're going to have some good old Roach Ravager, Hydra Lurker Viper here in just a sec. And Overlords. Overlords too. Oh, that's awkward. Yeah, they don't detect each other, man. Don't ask. It's one of the top 10 things that science can't explain. It's like Dark Templar. If you have 2 players making Dark Templar, they can't detect each other for some reason, even though they're family. I'm not sure exactly what the lore is, but apparently there's selective cloaking. Isn't that beautiful? A lot of roaches, though, made their way over here towards the 4th base. Looks like Reynor's going to be able to clean this one up. This does open up the opportunity for Serral right now to potentially move through the center of the map. Getting those lurkers in a good spot is absolutely amazing. And for some reason, the lurker den's at the front, man! Why are tech structures at the front these days? Oh, that's so bad. Why? I don't understand. If it's not Evo chambers, apparently it's like the most important tech structure at this point, other than maybe like the Hive or something. Happens too often. I don't feel strongly about pronunciation of Gouda, but I do feel strongly about lurker den positions, okay? Now this is nice. I think Serral's going to be able to clean up that base. He will lose a lot of roaches here in the process as well, though. Roaches apparently now also burrowed on over towards the main base here of Serral. There's constant harassment everywhere. Now this got some potential. I say that. Nah, once again, both players are going to be forced to back up. Roaches over at the 6 o'clock position. Lurkers are still actually over in this spot over here as well. Good spreading though by Reynor, trying to mitigate as much of that splash damage here of those lurkers as possible. Does clean those up actually relatively easily. At the same time, he's also pushing at the other side of the map. Good blinding cloud over there. Reinforcing roaches do join the fray here for Serral. His roaches now also are being cleaned up at the 6 o'clock. Is there going to be enough here? I feel like this is a similar battle as we saw in game number 1. This time around though, it's looking really good for the player with the Vipers. Is there going to be enough here for Reynor? Oh my god, there is. There it is. GG is called. And with that, it was Reynor that moved on to the grand finals of DreamHack Winter Europe, where he faced off against Clem. I hope that you enjoyed watching today's YouTube video. If you did, hit that like button down below. Today, I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much for your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I hope to see you once again in the next one.